is that something that the county is interested in doing to help fund this program with fundraising as well? You know, we would use fundraising with the pavers if we were to do that idea. So is that something that the county would be interested in helping with? Or is this really just us putting an idea that somebody else has and putting in the work of fundraising?
I need more information.
We're going into our budget talks, so it'd be a good time to,
Know the scope and, you know, what you got in mind. And
Because I think that was part of our question with knowing if we wanted to collaborate with the county or if we wanted to find a different avenue. So we could maybe provide more information as to.
That's fair.
But yeah, just that it obviously it has to be a county-wide effort for there to be county involvement.
yeah.
Okay, a question I got.
Yes,
As one other time, I wasn't at the meeting, Christie was, but when we came with some plans to the commissioners, all of a sudden it was brought up the fact you wanted to include EMTs and firefighters and stuff. Now, if we decide to go after a meeting with the courthouse lawn, are you gonna come back and tell us that's what you want there too, or is this gonna be strictly veterans?
I guess I envision it to be strictly veterans, but I'll
Yeah, but I mean, we had some
keep it
plans.
open to what the others think here.
Yeah, but we had plans drawn up, and when we came to the commissioners before, all of a sudden we were told they wanted to include EMTs and firefighters and stuff, so. And I guess we as a committee, since we started this, and it's been a long, tough battle, you know, and I envision it to be strictly veterans. The Legion is letting us take the statues that are in front of there and place them wherever they're going to be. And Christie has a couple plans that we did have drawn up for putting on the courthouse lawn, but I also agreed with Les that the fact is we don't have the visibility if we come to the courthouse lawn.
Right.
But as a county, maybe that's where it should be. That's my personal opinion, you know, and I look at that, and we've got a couple of things on the courthouse lawn already with the statute and the tank, you know.
Some
And so-
very significant.
What?
Some very significant things.
Yeah, well, and that, and then the fact we've got, what, is that 6 or 7 statues at the Legion? And where they're at right now, they're in front of the Legion, they're
Right.
not visible. And that's the same thing with the nameplates you got in the courthouse. It's a wonderful idea, you know, but how many people outside of our people that come here see that?
Right.
You know, and I know I worked on Honor Flight, Christie and I worked on Honor Flight together. You know how many people from Pipestone County went to World War II out of Pipestone County? 1,586.
Wow.
We should be honoring them people so much. And like I say, every town in the county has got a small token to the veterans.
Right.
And I travel around and I take pictures of every town I'm in where they do this. But I think it should be in a visible spot. I agree with what's being said here, although history would put it here in the courthouse law. So, that's my opinion.
The one thing with putting a lot out there, they always have Tower Festival,
Yeah.
tents and all.
Well, and
So,
Erica brought that up at our meetings too, so.
yeah. And I,
We're only talking about 2 days a week, or 2 days a year.
yeah, right. But there's other activities that are held in the front.
Well, yeah, like you had a religious one here over the weekend,
Yeah.
so. But for history purposes, I think it should be here.
So we'll let you get together, work those details out, and I guess I'd make a motion to appoint Dan to the committee.
I'll support that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Be happy to work with you guys on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We look forward to having you.
Is that what they said when they pulled people out of the ocean on the Titanic with a lifeboat? Welcome aboard.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
You bet, thank you.
Gene's Weiser.
And thank you for your service.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I would recommend that the
county authorize the Veterans Memorial Committee to be a set committee of the county and authorize per diem and mileage for that and get it on the list.
Okay, I thought we already.
It's not on
It
any
isn't.
list that I
We
have
checked the
anyway.
other day, but I
It's not
thought it
there.
was.
I thought it was at one time. We must have taken it off then. But yeah, then I guess I'd make that
Hasn't been there
motion
since I've been here,
and
so.
appoint both Les and Dan to that committee.
Just to reformalize that.
Yeah. So do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay,
I have to get up.
yeah, you want to take a,
Let's take 5.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
longer than I anticipated.
Okay.
Okay, Bill.
An hour late.
Sorry.
Because of that, Bill, you've missed your window of opportunity, so the budget's closed and you can't have any money. It's a done deal.
Yeah, shoot. Okay, so I've got a couple of quotes for you. And this is like 2 pieces of 3. There will be another one coming in another month or so. So part of that American Rescue Plan was to increase our cybersecurity infrastructure. And we've been on the list with the state for firewalls, and they didn't come through, and now they said that window is closed. We got our last set of firewalls through a grant through the state. They are crazy expensive, and they last 5-6 years, and ours are at that point right now. After September, we won't be able to buy another support for it anymore for the ones we have. And we do have some requirements for the things that we participate in with the state through the stuff that the sheriff's office does, that we agreed that we would stay with products that are not end of life. Well, we get a little leeway there. So these were not budgeted because we had kind of planned on let's see if we can get this grant going. And they get tricky kind of with some of their stuff too, because they're like, well, you already have it in your budget. You don't need to participate in the grant. So there's that. But the plan here was to take the funds for these 2 particular things out of the American Rescue Plan grant that we received. So what this is really direct replacements of the 2 firewalls that we have now. We run 2, they fail over to each other. And we've been in that situation before where we've lost one and we had the other one. I had to make a 170-mile drive one time before we had this going on to flip a power switch. But we got a huge discount on the pricing. I threw the original quote that we got back, and that was the state contract pricing on the last page, and they managed to drop about $7,000 off of that original price from back in June. And then the next closest bid we got was a $6,300 difference on all the exact same part numbers. So I mean, it's exact same thing. July's the right time to buy from Cisco because that's their end of the year, so they're ready to make deals at that point. Our consultants company there can always seem to find us a better deal than anybody in on both of these quotes. He's come in less than the next lowest I've ever been able to find. Whether we keep in the quote on the firewalls, there's a part of it called the threat defense, and it's a subscription-based service, and it's annually, And there's no multi-year discounts or anything with that, other than you could lock in the price. But that is going to be expensive, but, you know, you kind of weigh it like insurance. It sounds expensive until you have some kind of breach that you end up having to pay for. And, you know, that the average cost of a breach is 150 grand. I mean, we have MCIT insurance that's gonna cover some of that and some of those expenses, but
And the attacks are just getting more and more aggressive all the time, aren't they?
more and more aggressive all the time.
What's the MCIT deductible for this kind of stuff?
I don't remember, is it 10,000 or 12,000 maybe?
I'd have to look, I think it's like $10,000.
So it's more than the cost of this.
Oh,
Well, yeah,
Yeah. There's basically catastrophic loss is what they're really looking at when we have it.
and the time, you know,
Yeah.
I will never recommend paying a ransom for anything.
No.
But, and we really try hard to make sure that we'll never be in that situation too, because we back up 5 ways to Sunday right now.
And we do have $500,000 worth of coverage from MCIT for cyber.
For cyber, yep.
I don't see as where we got any choice. I agree with you. You hate paying this, you hate buying software. It's gonna just be not supported and get outdated and everything else.
If you can't be without
But
it.
it's a reality. You have to do it. So, Bill, you've got a specific recommendation then of these quotes that you'd like us to?
I do. I would prefer to go with Morris Electronics on both of these quotes. I didn't really mention what the second one is here, the one that's the $10,000 one. So that is going to change the way we kind of log into our computers. For all the people that are already here inside the firewall, it's one more component to that, to logging in. So you have a username and a password, and then you have a code. And the code's going to be provided on a little, like a fob, like you keep on your keychain. I would never want you to keep that in the same bag with your laptop, but that's kind of where they end up sometimes. And that code changes every, we thought about that too.
How about that? Okay.
There's some limitations with that too, or some blatantly stare in the face kind of problems with that. Is if I lost that, now somebody knows what doors it opens and possibly what computers it allows you to get into.
So you would need that anytime that you were
Going to log in.
Yeah, just even to retrieve any email or to get into the server.
Email is still open right now. Several of our counties in Minnesota here have locked email down behind VPN.
Yep, you have to be in the VPN to get into emails.
Yep, from outside.
Yep. And then how will that affect those of us that have got, like, with our smartphones? So the smartphone will be just the same as a laptop, so we're gonna have that. To
We
retrieve emails.
we have an app that we can use on a smartphone that could replace that fob as well, but the license cost and everything is the same. And that may be more convenient for people.
Yep.
But it adds a little more time to logging in, and it's one more thing to do.
But
But what
it's a
it does is
reality.
it stops anybody from outside, theoretically, from using any of our accounts that are already out there, from hijacking somebody else's account that's already logged in and trying to use it at a different time. I guess while they're on it is still a possibility,
So
But-
if somebody's got their computer open and walks away from their desk, how long before they'd have to re-log in?
The standard we have is 9 minutes right now. But I could get to Holland in 9 minutes. That was a big compromise that we did several years ago. There's different areas where they have a little bit different times set up for that. Like upstairs, they have a secured area. So theirs don't lock down. I don't have them locked down at dispatch. They need that, and they need it open and on right at the moment. There's different compliance requirements for different departments too, for what they do on when and how long that timing is. but we kind of compromised on 9 minutes. At least we're doing something, you know? So that's how long that unattended window is.
Do you think most employees are pretty good about not leaving things unattended as they should?
Yep, but it even kind of goes beyond that, because you can remote into a computer and not even alert the person that's using that computer that it's being remoted into. That's how
And that could happen while you're on it.
well you're on it. Yep. But we have privileged accounts, and then we have regular user accounts, right? Most of the laptop users have local admin rights, or they have another account that they can use for local admin and not have it on their account. If you have local admin rights on your computer, there are ways that people can elevate the privileges of that account. And then they could take that elevated account and then use it somewhere else on our network. This will kind of put the kibosh on that. Even if they are able to elevate an account, they can't log into that other thing because they don't have that physical device sitting in front of them with that code on it. Near as I can tell, we'll be about the second county to implement this strategy on top of everything else.
So we're ahead of the game then.
Maybe. Maybe.
Bill, on the Morse Electronics quote then, so you're looking at 2 pieces of firewall
Correct.
hardware equipment for $8,000 apiece, $9,000 apiece. And then on the second part, then you've got the software. But this is only a 1-year subscription, so it's
Yep.
$4,500 per year per subscription.
Per device.
Okay.
Correct. So it's 2 devices. The threat defense is the subscription where you get the definitions. And sometimes it's 4 times a day,
Yeah.
sometimes, it just depends on how those come in.
What I'm wondering about is then on the extended service contract then?
Yes.
That's $2,000 per piece of equipment, or $2,100 per piece of equipment.
Yeah.
So that's almost half of what the software itself costs.
Yes.
But the software is just a 1-year lease. Is it worth spending that $2,000 on a 1-year lease?
If we don't buy the SmartNet, there's no warranty anymore. They used to have lifetime warranties on their hardware, but that went away last year.
But my question is it worth spending the money for just a 1-year warranty when the cost of the warranty is half of what the cost of the program is? Am I looking at it with the John Desai?
I don't know. I think we're saving half.
But we're throwing half away if we don't need it.
Yeah. Oh no, we need it. We need it. There can be things that break.
Yeah, if we don't use it, I mean.
And we have to call them for help.
Because if it would crash on us, it's more than just saying, well, we'll throw that program out and put another $2,000 program in. It's not that simple.
Right. There's time in configuring it. We save the configuration files off, but there's also that physical time of replacing that component or waiting for one to come in the mail. That would never fly upstairs.
But with the extended warranty or the extended service agreement, though, we still would have that same time investment if we had a catastrophe, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, your total ask then is the $31,058.
$31,058.14. Yep.
And this equipment is available for us, so we can get it, or?
I was told they're in stock.
Okay.
And that has been a problem. I mean, I could envision us waiting a month.
For it. And you said this really wasn't budgeted, so how are we going to cover this $31,000 expenditure then?
Mr. Chairman, board members, I recommend we utilize our ARP funding for this. It is a perfectly allowable cost. And for those listening online, it's specifically listed under section 602C1C and 603C1C of the Act that provides recipients broad latitude to use the fiscal recovery funds for the provision of government services. Government services can include, but are not limited to, maintenance or pay-go-funded buildings of infrastructure, including roads, modernization of cybersecurity, including hardware, software, and protection of critical infrastructure. So this falls into that very cleanly.
Okay.
So
very
we
good.
can certainly use a portion of our ARP funding that is sitting in the bank for this
Again,
expense.
that makes me feel a lot
And
better.
it's also an
about it.
unbudgeted expense also, and We all know that cybersecurity in whatever way, shape, or form is an issue we will be dealing with forever.
Yep, exactly.
Definitely critical.
Yep.
Yeah, it's, you know,
I don't see where we got any choice. I really don't. And I am assured, I'm reassured to know that it's not going to affect the levy. It's going to have zero impact on our levy because of that, the federal funding.
thank you, Uncle Joe,
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely, we needed
our
that.
rich uncle.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to by what Bill's recommending.
Yep, and I will second that motion for the $31,058.14 expenditure.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Do we want to act on the tokens too? Are there any other questions about that? There's two separate quotes.
The tokens are the fob things you were
Fob
talking?
things.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah. And what was the total cost on those?
9,800.
98, 26, 25.
I'll make that motion also.
Yep, and I will second that one also.
Okay, any discussion? None, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Do you have a sample of them? How big are they? What are they?
I think like what you'd start your car with, pretty much about that big.
My wife has a fob to get in school that's much smaller than a car one, but this
Yep.
probably
This
different.
has a little window on it, and the battery lasts for 3 years, and it just has a code. It keeps having a 6-digit code, pops up, pops up.
So you have to read the code off of that?
You have to read the code off that and key it in. You got a minute.
Correctly, yeah.
Yep, correctly. Three times, and you're calling me to get your account.
Reset, huh?
Yep. I just want to mention a little bit, when I initially came in, I said there's 3 pieces to this. The third area that we're gonna have to visit is our security cameras. So we have lost our security camera vendor. They decided they wanted out of the camera business, and that's put several, they're in like 40 counties in Minnesota, and some in North Dakota and Iowa and Wisconsin, and they put a lot of counties in the lurch to find something. So I've been kind of working with a couple, and we replaced our NVRs. We're coming up on a couple years ago now, so they're pretty new. The problem is that the brand of devices that we have all throughout the county is now on the federal banned list. Right? It's HIK Vision. They're Chinese cameras.
So they're concerned about embedded.
So, well, I've known since we've had them that they phone home. They phone home once in a while, and what they do is they phone home and they look for updates. But, I've got that blocked. They don't need firmware updates unless there's something broken with it, right? But they deny it. The company does, but they're on the ban list because they participate in the Chinese army or some way, or the funding goes to them some way. So anyway, if we continue to buy that brand, we could be blocked on federal grants or federal money. So they're going to be out right now. So we've got cameras that need to be replaced, and trying a couple other brands, they don't seem to work the same. So we're going to end up having to scrap our almost new NVRs at some point here. We'll continue to use these Chinese cameras for a while, but we're going to probably go with Apex. It's initially a Minnesota-based company. And we'll probably go with the Motorola branded NVR type stuff.
And what's the ballpark estimate on all that?
Well, the box just to run it is going to be about $6,000. So, and I don't have a firm, even a ballpark number on what the per license per camera number is, but that's coming.
Our existing vendor that we bought these cameras from,
Yeah.
what was our agreement with them as far as contract on that or warranty?
They could get us another, well, they say they're done. They're completely done. You know,
And they're doing it because their supply has been limited now because of this ban from Chinese-made stuff.
well, actually, the supply of this Chinese-made stuff is everything's in stock because nobody's buying it right at the moment.
But my question is though, so we've got no recourse with them. We got a contract with them, but they're.
We never really had like a firm contract. They've just been our
Supplier.
vendor. Yeah. And at times they stood behind their stuff. We've had cameras die that were pretty new and they replaced them, you know. But
Does this take into consideration all the cameras that the sheriff's department has around town and stuff too?
that's what I'm talking about.
It's
Yep.
all of them, huh?
All of them. We have 64. I think,
64 cameras?
cameras right now.
Yeah, wow.
We have one. We still have quite a few analog cameras upstairs, and those are the ones that are due for replacement right away. And we have one that's doesn't work well in night mode, but in daytime mode it works pretty good. But we have one that's still from the 90s, from the original cameras that were put in. It still works, you know. So it's in an area that's not. I mean, you can see what you need to see.
Does it work like that LiDAR that we saw from 20
Not
years
at all.
ago? I can't make out shapes, but there's something there.
Yeah.
This, and forgive me for not recalling it, Craig, this technologies group that we're part ownership of out of Morris.
Yeah.
What's that group called?
CPT.
CPT. Okay, I know they're more software. Because of this commonality with the other counties, should we maybe consider getting into hardware with them as well too? Is that a possibility?
I think that would be much out of the realm of what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's just not in their wheelhouse. They're focused
Yeah.
on software. And
The company I've been looking at is out of Sioux Falls, and actually both of them that I'm looking at were out of Sioux Falls. The one that I think is going to give us the best maintenance. Several counties around us, Nobles, the Prairie Justice uses them, Yellow Medicine uses them. And they've got a nationwide presence. Their main office is in Sioux Falls, but
Well, maybe think of it as you comment about how there's a number of counties that are in the same boat, and instead of each one of us out there floundering by ourselves.
but there's lots of companies that do this.
Yeah.
It's just the other one, the company that we had, they do lots of stuff for jails. They're already in jail, so this was just kind of an offshoot for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
There's
strength in numbers for us, though, so instead of us fighting this battle ourselves, what are the other counties doing?
yeah, I saw a message here a month or two ago, and everybody was kind of like, "Who do you recommend?"
Yep, yep.
Your guess is as good as mine.
But the Motorola product that looks like would be the best fit for us does have several advantages. It doesn't take a proprietary box to run on. It can run on regular PC hardware. It's Linux based, but it also, if we get to a point where we go with they can use anybody's cameras, so that's a big plus for us, because then we don't have 66 cameras to buy at $2,000 a piece, you know. But their cameras can do analytics, so you can track a face throughout a building or throughout all your buildings, or say, I want to see a red car in the parking lot, or I want it to be a red pickup in the parking lot, or, you know, or where did this license plate pop up on our cameras? You know,
Do they
it
have
can do-
facial recognition capability?
yeah, almost every brand has some sort of that in place or on the way right now. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Walmart knows when you go to Walmart. They know where you park in the parking lot. You know. They also know what people come there to send the security to watch what they do while they're at Walmart. But anyway, that's on the horizon. I'll know something in a month or so what we need to do. We'll probably do a couple demos of a couple different things. But we have camera needs today that we're not really able to fulfill.
So do these ARPA funds cover all this?
Would cover that too. Yep.
Wow. And do you have to have a license for each camera?
It all depends on what brand it is and how the model works.
Well, to me, that licensing stuff is just a scam.
Yeah, well, if you did it licensed by the camera, it's unlimited users with this Motorola product. So that saves us a lot. Where right now we're at five users per camera, or 5 connections per camera. We get around it a little bit because some people we have log into the NVR and not the camera itself, so then we can get 5 more from that. And we've kind of organized our cameras over the NVRs to give us the ability to, Quartz needs these cameras and they need them on 4 different machines, you know.
And what's the NVR again?
Oh, the network video recorder.
Okay. So all these cameras record all the time?
They record on motion.
Okay.
So if there's motion in the room, like us in here today, that camera records us. It's up there.
Yeah, I was wondering if there was another one.
Anyway, like I said, Motorola is basically the only supplier left.
Oh no, there's other ones, and there's like Bosch. Bosch is German,
Okay.
and Siemens.
But how can we prevent a supplier in the future from dropping us like this one did? So this could happen again on us if they decide.
That's part of why I like this company that I've been talking to now, is because they're big. You know, big usually means big cost too, but I'd rather stay with something that
Unlikely to fail.
yeah, or more unlikely to be absorbed by somebody else too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Be cynical, and big also means monopoly sometimes as well.
Sometimes it does. Yep. And they do stuff for federal government and lots of state.
They probably worked with their congressman to make sure that was included in what's accepted for this funding, so.
They're doing the school here in Pipestone too. But, any other questions?
So I just recommend you go get the pricing together and bring it back.
Yeah, that's
See where we're at.
Yep.
Is there anything on state bid, though? I guess we should ask that, too. If
That-
there's Motorola
this-
product on state bid, and
Right,
most of their
and this
stuff is.
does, and this vendor understands that too, and
Okay.
knows how to get us state contract pricing. It's not always that, but like this quote from Morris is under the 38 grand was the state price.
Yeah. It's even under state bid, then.
Compatibility as far as your existing wiring and so forth, it's just a matter of
What-
plugging these back in, or you're gonna have to rerun.
Yeah, so the analog ones that we have, the few times that we've had Paul here to pull new wires in, it's like, Paul, pull 2 in and bring 1 to there.
Yeah.
So we've kind of already covered our bases on, because it was like, if that analog camera fails, we're gonna wanna plug an IP camera in right away.
But it's like a CAD 5 type cables that you're using.
Yep, just a regular network cable, and then they're powered from our switch in the
Yeah.
switch closets.
Have we made any progress on getting our deal set up
I
here?
haven't found a vendor. I know, it's been
But he
sitting
wants
in the
to do
box.
something. They won't even call us back.
Which deals with those? Oh, the clock thing?
No, there's a
No,
TV
We
thing.
have
we're
a
gonna
display
put
that we're
here.
gonna put up here.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we should just have Paul put it up or something, and,
Yeah, the integrating it into what we
Yeah.
have. I mean, we could throw a DA,
yeah.
distribution amplifier in the box over there and run it probably, but yeah.
Only in America.
Yep.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Personnel?
Morning.
Good morning.
Kathy?
I did pass out a packet of information this morning. There was also information in the board packet on the Benefits Connect program, which I'm going to cover first here. So I did put in a request for board action, and then also there was an attached email from Dan Oakes, and that is our ancillary benefits broker. They're from Integrity Employee Benefits. And he sent the quote over for the Benefits Connect system. And what that is it's an online open enrollment system for our employees to enroll in our insurance benefits through the county. A few years ago, we moved to the online open enrollment system through CPT. And then just in talking with our other groups that belong to CPT, a lot of them have moved to this platform with the Benefits Connect system. It's very user-friendly. It's easier to communicate benefits with. There's a lot of robust reporting capabilities, so like communicating with our insurance vendors, running demographic reports and enrollment reports. The vendor is currently working with CPT to integrate it. So since we already belong to Integrity Employee Benefits as our ancillary insurance broker, they are willing to work on implementation for us at no cost. So there's no additional fees on top of the cost for the Benefits Connect system. It's just they will help us implement it. And then we would pay this $1.50 per employee per month. Which amounts to just about $1,500 per year to have this program. I talked with Dan Oakes this morning, and he said they have about 31 groups with Benefits Connect. 10 are coming on next year in 2022. And then several of the groups that have it currently that have given it high praise are Southwest Health and Human Services has it, Lyon County, Stevens County, Traverse, Swift, and Meeker, to name a few. There's more, but that's the short list that I got this morning. I know it's an additional cost, but I think all in all, $1.50 per employee per month, considering what we pay for like benefits premiums, is not a large expense for what I feel would be a good benefit for employees to help them better understand their benefits. So I would be requesting that we do implement this program as of 1/1/22, and we would immediately begin testing it and doing the open enrollment on this platform in October or November of this year.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve the expenditure of the $1,500, approximately what it would take to enroll in this program.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
Kathy, the individuals that are going to benefit the most from this then will be the employees themselves, because they'll be able to look up things themselves.
Correct.
When we do our discussions and negotiations with the various labor unions, will they recognize the fact that this is an expenditure that the county's made to benefit the employees, or is this just going to be just thanks a lot?
Probably not, no.
Because it is, we're doing this specifically for their good, for their benefit, and I hope that they understand and appreciate that we do care about them. And when they bring in their outside union negotiators, I hope they realize sometimes that we are on their side.
And I do appreciate the commissioners being willing to invest in this stuff, because it does really help with communication to staff, and it's going to be easier access to get to the website to enroll in these benefits as well.
Yep.
So
So it will make your work day a little bit simpler as well, too.
it'll make my side of it easier too, just because of the reporting features and being able to communicate with our vendors and stuff like that, and making sure our billings are accurate after the first of the year. That can be an issue too. If we're having issues with the CPT program, not getting the information we need from it, from what it sounds with talking to some of these other counties, their implementation with this program went really smoothly, and like just the communication with the vendors at the beginning of the year goes really smoothly as well, which takes away time from us trying to sort out billings that are maybe a month behind or, somewhat. It seems like sometimes the delay in the billings getting changed over in January, because I can't get my reports soon enough from CPT, creates kind of more work for us. And this, if we can get the reporting features done right away and communicate it to the vendors immediately, it's going to save time for us as well. So
Give you one more tool.
yeah, exactly.
Great.
Any other questions? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, next on my list, we do have a candidate with a contingent accepted offer for the building and grounds maintenance worker position. I can't release his name publicly yet because we still have to do background checking on him. The personnel committee is aware of who this individual is. Hopefully Les got my email. But our finalist has about 18 years of experience working in building and grounds. And so we would like to bring him in about halfway up the pay scale. And that is the next pay plan that I gave you guys here. So we are looking at step F, $19.90 per hour to offer this candidate at. And I would be seeking board approval of this offer. The experience was at Phi Industries as a building and grounds person for approximately, like I said, 18 years.
And by bringing him in at level F, you still have room then for him to be able to grow.
Yes.
And that's good that he's not maxed out on that, so.
A lot of experience.
Yep.
And to the board members, we did budget $58,000 for the position last year into this year's budget. This was with insurance,
Yep.
salary and benefits is still far less than where we budgeted for.
Well, good job finding an applicant for us. It's not an easy chore, so hopefully that he blends well with our other employees and is a good addition to the team. That'll be
And
great.
I should be able to give you his name and start date at the next board meeting. Plans to start August 2nd.
Great.
So hopefully July 27th, I'll be able to announce that to you guys.
Okay.
Did you need a specific action then?
Yes, please.
Mr. Chair, I will move that we authorize Kathy then to offer this individual the level F at the $19.90 then for a starting wage, bringing him in at that level F position.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item I have is the Deputy EMS Director position. So we are promoting Cole Nordmeyer effective July 1st to the Deputy EMS Director position. I did send his job description in to get reviewed by Gallagher, formerly Fox Lawson. They recommended it stay at the B23 scale, which is where it was already evaluated at. So I do have a salary recommendation for Cole. And it's on that same sheet that I handed out for the pay plan. So his current rate is step E on that paramedic range, and I'd like to move him to step E of the Deputy EMS Director range, $25.07 per hour. It's about a 6% wage increase.
Move for approval.
I'll support that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item I have is Deputy Sheriff Christopher Schultz resigned effective July 8th. He was a full-time deputy for us, so I need approval to accept his resignation.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
If we don't, He has to stay?
They have a way of keeping people around, don't they?
I'll second.
Okay, moved in second, any discussion? And all those in favor?
I certainly wish
Opposed?
Chris well in his future endeavors, and we're gonna miss him.
All right, thank you. Next is, so Emerson Winter, he is a full-time jailer dispatcher for us, and he has his post license as well. And the sheriff's office did offer him a part-time deputy position effective July 1, just at step A on the pay plan. And so he has been training since the 1st of July in that position. I don't necessarily need board approval for that piece. But I just wanted to let you guys know that he is working as deputy sheriff, and I do have something for board approval for his pension plan. So the next item I have that I handed out this morning is a resolution to allow Emerson Winter to participate in the police and fire para plan. And the reason for this is basically part-time deputies default to the coordinated plan, which is the general government plan for staff. It does get a little bit messy if we have a part-timer that goes to full-time because they end up with 3, especially in his case, he would be in 3 different para plans. So he would have his coordinated plan with as his jailer dispatcher job. He'd be in the correctional plan for that, and then he'd have his little bit of coordinated pay going into that, and then if he became a full-time deputy in the future, he would be in the police and fire plan, so he'd be in 3 different plans. And we do have a history, we have allowed part-time deputies to continue to participate in the police and fire plan before with like Cole Nordmeyer moving to his paramedic. When he fills in upstairs for the sheriff's office, he does get credit towards his police and fire pension with his part-time deputy work. So I would be recommending approval of the resolution 592321 declaring Emerson Winter eligible for the police and fire PRA plan for his part-time deputy work.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
Second.
okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and then 2 more announcements. I do have an accepted offer on the highway maintenance worker job, but we're still working on background check stuff for him. And also, we do have someone starting in the Deputy Auditor 2 position on July 19th, and her name is Jody Jensen, Jodie Jensen, Jensen. So she's starting next Monday, July 19th, as Deputy Auditor 2 in the Auditor's Office on Step A of the pay plan. So I don't need any special approval for her position, but she is starting next week. So we're happy to get that position filled as well.
Good.
All right.
That's
I
it?
think that's everything. I had a lot this morning, so
Been busy.
yeah, it has been.
Chairman, as long as Kathy's there, just, can we do the State of Minnesota proclamation about county staff? We have a idea here we'd like to just recommend that the board approve, but Governor Walz, this is through AMC, Governor Walz apparently has put together a State of Minnesota proclamation indicating that County Staff Appreciation Day will be Tuesday, July 27th, 2021, and a copy of that proclamation is in your packet there. And this has all been put through, I think AMC was very instrumental in getting the governor to do this. I think it's very, very, a great thing that he has done that. And we would like to have a little recognition of all the employees, and we would like to recommend getting them like dilly bars for a treat for the day, and to everybody in all the departments where they would get a little treat. And so if the board has any problem with that, we'll go ahead and make that happen, so.
Okay.
And then we can formally recognize the proclamation on the 27th as well.
Okay.
Sounds good.
move forward with that, absolutely.
So everyone has worked really hard. Our staff is no different than anyone else's. I mean, we worked through the COVID. They were here. They tried to work from home, tried to make IT work. Sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. You know, for a while early on in the pandemic, as other driver's license stations around the state shut down, ours was open, and we were getting many people coming from the metro area to go get driver's licenses renewed here, where others were just simply shut down. So staff upstairs and all the offices worked really hard to do everything and keep things going, keep things operating. We did have some of our employees especially we learned in EMS, did contract COVID by going on some calls, so it did affect some of our staff as well that way. And some of us, including myself, did get COVID through whatever reason, and others did as well. So it was a big thing. It was a very, it was a good learning experience for everybody. I think it just helps us to take stock of what we have in this world and know that a pandemic can occur and bad things can happen, but working together, we can all get through it. And I think a lot of our people have had shots, and I think that's great. So, but to recognize everybody, that includes commissioners as well too. You guys will get dilly bars too.
Oh, yay!
Dilly. No.
Ask if they're staff or not.
So it was.
Do you need specific action at this point to recommend that on Thursday we do approve this, or it's just you're going to introduce it Thursday and we'll approve it then?
You could do a
Tuesday,
motion to
Tuesday.
accept the Governor Walz's proclamation that Tuesday, July 27th would be County Staff Appreciation Day. I think that would be appropriate. We'll
Make
put
that
in the
motion.
minutes.
You moved, and I'll second that as well too.
Any
Thank you.
discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Question, Steve. This was in our mailbox.
Yep.
Who are these people?
Not a clue. Got it yesterday. I was hoping somebody was on a committee or knew what this group was about. I have no idea. I had a whole packet of those show up, and I threw it in the box and figured, well, I'll just ask, see if anybody knows what it's about. So they're apparently requesting an appropriation that I've never seen before. So
All right.
I'll just go ahead and follow up with them and give them a call and get some more information for you.
Okay. Committee reports. Les, you want to start us off?
Sure. Okay, on the first, we had a hometown fiber meeting here in the commissioner's room to look at what could be done for fiber in the whole county. Then the following day, on the 2nd, Dan and I met with ICS building group, and they are basically a facilitator, the middleman. Basically, they work between you and the contractors, so you don't have to be looking at, they kind of manage the project. They're project manager, more or less. That was an interesting conversation.
What project are they managing?
Well, we were looking for across the street
Oh, if
for
in the event
future
we're-
development.
Okay.
Yep.
To take the load off everybody. They'd be responsible. And then on the 8th was a commissioners meeting. On the 10th was District 8 meeting in Slayton. I think everybody was there outside of Dan. He was gone catching some fish, hopefully.
Yes, it was.
On the 14th, we had the plant ops at the hospital, and that was all reported on at the board meeting at the hospital a few weeks ago. That night, we had Board of Equalization here in the courthouse, Commissioner's Room. On the 16th, Southwest Health and Human Services meeting, and that was one of the quickest meetings that we had. There was really nothing highlighted, just some reports. The financials were.
Yep. Earlier, we had a personnel committee that same day as well too, and gone over a few things, and this whole business we talked about before as far as incentives and all that.
Yeah. Then on 21st, we had Southwest Pick up in Marshall. Had a couple presentations, and one of them was talking about growing your own, is developing a program, and they would like to come down and promote it to the commissioners, where you take maybe one or two, work with some businesses to retain people that are going to college, to bring them back here to work, kind of like growing your own. So maybe this fall we can get it presented.
Like the hospital should be doing.
Well, I thought of the hospital, not,
Probably some courthouse positions.
yeah, but there's business around town,
Yeah.
like the vet clinic, they
Right.
kind of are doing something that, like it's similar to.
I don't know if it's the same program or just a similar name, but I know that the Chamber and SRDC and so forth have referred to this grow your own as well, too.
Yeah.
It's not a new concept.
The program actually, first time was started in Martin County. Their commissioners put $55,000 into it the first year, and I think it's been going for several years now, and I think they've got 15 people.
So do they help fund their schooling then, or?
They pay for a portion of it. That's what this $55,000 is for, the summer wages to help. So, but if you want, we can bring Carrie down and she'll do a presentation on it. And
Good idea.
like, you could start with 2 people, maybe $1,000 or something, but as long as we're going into budget, I thought it'd be a good idea to present it. So, then on 22nd, Commissioners meeting and Hospital Board. 23rd, I had a radio board, and on the 28th, Extension meeting. And that is the end of my report.
Okay. Dan?
Yeah, if I may. Then on the first, you mentioned the hometown fire. Also, we had another meeting with that CIS group on the day that you had radio board, then on the 23rd as well, too. I had a follow-up meeting with him. We had Prime West on the 3rd. That was just a regular Prime West meeting. Now, we're not having a Prime West now for the month of July. There wasn't any business for July, so it'll be August before we meet again. Again, with Prime West, it's just still more of, the same kind of discussions about immunizations. What else do we cover on that? Still working with the state, of course, as far as the expansion counties, so nothing really specific has
That's
changed
going to be
there.
ongoing for the next year or so.
On the 10th, I had my Pipestone Area Coalition. As you know, the first grant has expired, but now it's been renewed. It's a new grant, and it's still being administered through Southwest Health and Human Services as well. On the 11th, then, we had our Southwest Mental Health Consortium meeting. Again, the demand for that, and that works in conjunction, of course, with our Southwest Mental Health Group as well, too. On the 14th, along with that Board of Equalization, we had our Casey Jones annual meeting. And Luke, I appreciate that you were able to make it to that one as well, too. Doing 2 things at once gets a little bit hectic sometimes. Then on the 21st, I did participate in the AMC's Zoom meeting that gave me an update then for that regional AMC meeting that I had missed. And kind of brought us all up to speed on that. Then on the 24th, I was over at Slayton for a Rural Minnesota Energy Board meeting. And then, of course, on the 29th, we had our EMT cookout. So, Mr. Chair, if you wouldn't mind, can I excuse myself? I've got a doctor's appointment in 9 minutes, so
Sure.
I should probably get to that.
No problem.
Things got a little long, but thank you so much, guys. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Dallas?
It's January 14, Board of Equalization, Zoomed. Values are probably going to keep going up and up on the rest of the country, so hopefully we'll keep along. June 16th, Plum Creek Library System. I know you're all waiting for the name of the van, but the name of the van is DAISY. It's an acronym, and I didn't get the total acronym for it, but it's DAISY. So
And this is where?
Plum Creek Library System, they ordered a new van,
Okay.
so they had a naming contest.
That's been in the process for years.
Oh, the bus?
Yeah.
To get a new vehicle.
Well, it's a delivery vehicle with books.
Right.
Yeah. And Also, the Minders Library lawsuit is pending, so they had no comment.
There's a lot of that going around.
A whole lot of no comment on it. And they did bring up that Edgerton Public Library is not exactly a public library. I didn't know that before.
It's not Plum Creek?
It is Plum Creek, but they are wondering if they're gonna drop Edgerton out of it because it's a 401(3)(c), whatever. It was Runnels at one time.
Right,
Runnels-
right.
Runnels Memorial Library, but it's called Edgerton Public Library now, so I don't know how serious they were getting
Well,
about it.
once they moved into the city building,
That's pretty public, isn't it?
you don't get much more public than that.
I'll check into that, see if they're gonna do anything else. June 21st, I went to, or Zoomed the AMC wrap-up meeting for all the district meetings. They noted the PTSD claims are higher. A lot of shutdown talk at that time, what were gonna happen. They introduced 3 guys that are up for the second vice president. Neil Galswick, Rod Peterson, and Mike Slavic. And Rich Svey is the only 2-year president of this because of COVID. The last time they had a 2-year president was World War II. I thought that was interesting. And June 22, regular meeting here, and then the hospital board meeting face-to-face for the first time. That was good. June 28th, Fair Board, plans are going well. Everybody's doing what they're supposed to, and gonna get sometime different variations for get the tractor pulls over quicker. Is one of them. They're gonna get 2 sleds. They hired another sled for that, so they can get them done quicker. And then the 29th, the employee appreciation. I want to thank Steve again for all the work that he does for that. We appreciate that, Steve.
My pleasure.
Thank you. That's my report.
Okay. On June 9th, Director Olga Brower invited me to attend the Minnesota Agriculture and Rural Leadership Alumni Session. I was the only non-alumni to attend, but once I had her speak at an AMC event, and so it's just returning the favor. I just did it on my own. On the 10th, went to the, of course, AMC district meeting. On the 14th, we had planned ops, the hospital executive meeting, annual meeting for Casey Jones Trail and the Board of Equalization. On the 15th, the ditch committee met. We reviewed drone footage of the ditch to see various bulkheads and inlets and whatnot that may need repair or replacement. Picked out 10 or 12, which seemed the worst, and we're gonna go out sometime coming up to view them in person and prioritize which to replace or fix or whatever. On the 16th, Highway 23 Coalition, they're exploring updating their website, looking for an intern from SCSU for additional work to define the ag component to add to the District 8 freight study that MnDOT had done, and we've reviewed the District 3 freight study with MnDOT staff, and then they do have a second sign up now by Clara City that I've seen pictures of. It be as you're heading, you're almost to Clara City, and there's that kind of fertilizer place off to the left. It's right in front of that, so pretty visible. And they should be getting one up by Lynn soon. It's gonna be by that construction company where the 4-lane ends, and as you're coming from our way, or where the 4-lane starts. So that'll be a good spot. On the 22nd, had a road and bridge committee meeting after our board meeting, and then our hospital board meeting in person, and then had a Prime Health meeting to kind of get up to speed on that Renville issue, which then on the 24th, we met in person at Prime West with Renville County commissioners and their administrator and the hospital CEO, and we're able to come up with a tentative agreement to basically settle for half the penalty, which was due from them leaving our health insurance pool early. And then in the future, we're going to be firming up our bylaws soon to try to prevent a recurrence of that type of behavior. Wasn't ideal, but you know, I guess we have to work with them going forward, and they're still a member of Prime West, so you had to kind of finesse some arrangement. On the 28th, AMC Futures and AMC Board had a joint meeting with Dave Bartholomew, who's with that Bridging Divides program. He's working on a book, and he's also retiring from a state job, yet he will remain as the mayor of Circle Pines. On the 29th, we had the employee grill out. On the 1st, Area 2 and RCRCA, they did get the $140,000 each year for 2 years of the biennium. But of course, there was no bonding, so there won't be any additional project money. We've got to hope to get some next year because we're going to use what we have on hand this year and be out probably. And then starting on the 8th, NACO meetings began. On the 8th, they talked about election security, the American Rescue Plan Act, IT strategic planning, they talked about multi-factor authentication, which we just approved earlier for our use here. Talked about accelerating citizen adoption of engagement technology, how to get more people convinced that they could apply for their permit online or whatever else that people might want to do. A lot on solar or cybersecurity. Of course, the year-over-year ransomware and all that stuff just keeps skyrocketing. It's almost exponential growth. On the 9th, Ag and Rural Affairs Policy Steering Committee had a lot of different information on different programs that are related to rural areas and whatnot, and how ARPA funds will be used for different portions of that. I mean, so much of the different sessions seem to be different government heads that were basically, here's what kind of pool of money that our agency got, and here's how we're going to try to dispense it or whatever. I mean, it's, of course, ultimately, the bottom line by yesterday was that, Mary Jo McGuire from Ramsey County was elected the second NACO vice president by a significant margin, 73%.
Good for her.
And, knowing that they're going to be spending all this money over the next number of years, to have somebody from Minnesota on that committee is obviously a good thing. It certainly can't hurt, because maybe they can convince them to spread a little of the wealth our way. And, but they did have a pretty interesting session, like on soy-based construction materials and biofuels and whatnot, and talked about a number of products that, as far as like soy-based sealers for asphalt and concrete, and said that some of them were in use, even in Minnesota. They talked about a dust suppressant that I asked about earlier when we had that discussion. Talked about soy-backed grass that like SDSU and Brookings uses on their football field. So it's basically some kind of AstroTurf that's soybean related. I guess I knew they had artificial grass, but I didn't know it was soybean based. Soy-based traffic paint, parking lot sealant, can go in insulation and carpet. It was amazing how many different things they had.
Well, if they can do turf, they can do carpet.
Right, exactly. And then they're exploring soybean oil as a way to make plastic. And apparently there's a need for more crushing plants. I'm guessing they must be pretty dollar and water intensive. So, but I tried to ask, through the chat, so how much is a crushing plant? But I never got a response back, but I'm guessing but I mean, there are places that would like to get one, because apparently it's a pretty high demand thing, and I did happen to notice, like, apparently Bob Fox had given some congressional testimony and you can see it on the NACO website, of course, as Renville County Commissioner. They had the Vice President speak. We went to the Environment, Energy, and Land Use Steering Committee, and of course, there again, they went through a bunch of different programs related to environmental ag, and it's just amazing. I mean, how many different programs they mentioned, though, that had their own 100 or 300 billion pot of money, and I mean, there's a lot of billions they're giving away to different things, and then sat in on the large urban county and rural action caucus joint meeting. Probably my primary disappointment was that they were supposed to have Secretary of Transportation Buttigieg speak, and he apparently didn't show up because the session ended and he didn't appear. So I was a little disappointed there, but and then by the time Monday rolled around, and actually some of those I went to on Sunday, they had a kind of a general session again. And because of a plant ops meeting, which we had that morning also, I got called away while Speaker Pelosi was on, and then Mitch McConnell was the follow-up. And by the time I got back, he was just concluding, but he must have just sent in a video because he wasn't there in person. But then, sat through the general session later in the day where they actually did the voting and whatnot, and it was kind of an interesting procedure because first their election buddy software, apparently they're supposed to all vote, and then they're supposed to get an email confirmation for each state to confirm their ballot totals. And the first time it did not work, so then they had to redo it, and then it did work, but it seemed to take a long time. But yet a few states even must not have got their email confirmation, so they had to go to the iPad guy who came around and confirmed that whatever was accurate. But then they go through like they do at a presidential nominating convention, where they actually go state by state, and except at the presidential one, they usually go alphabetically. This one, they just draw ping pong balls out of a hopper, and so it's just a random selection who goes first or whatever. And so they told you at the beginning there were like 2,614 votes that were credentialed votes. There were only 587 NACO counties registered to vote out of 3,069 counties, parishes, and boroughs in the United States. So apparently only 587 must have either attended virtually or otherwise in person. And of course, each state had a certain number of credentialed votes. I think our maximum was 142 or something for Minnesota, and we ended up with 90. So I suppose each county had at least one, but I think some of the bigger counties get more than one based on population. But anyway, by the time it was all said and done, only 7 states had more votes than Minnesota, and one had the same. So apparently we had a good enough showing that even though we're not that populated, we rated kind of high as far as
Candidate in the bench.
and we had a candidate in the mix, right? And then they went through, of course, all the resolutions like we would do at AMC, and only one resolution was pulled out to be talked about separately that's somebody wasn't happy with, and that was that they wanted to change the title, and the title that was presented was they wanted to say that it was declaring gun violence as a national public health crisis, and somebody wanted to change it to a declaration to reduce gun violence. They spent a lot of time talking about that in a fairly orderly way. Then they had to vote on that amendment, which passed 51.5 to 48.5, that they were not interested in changing it. So, and then they had to, of course, re-vote on the original motion, which was basically the same thing you just voted on, you know. So then they did that, and it passed like with 67%, so. So they did declare gun violence as a national public health crisis. And then, of course, went through the actual voting where Mary Jo McGuire got 73%. And so Minnesota will have representation on the national leadership team of NACO. And that is all I have.
Thank you for representing Pipestone County and that.
Yeah, it was a very lengthy process that, but it was interesting, and they did cover a lot of ground and whatnot. But, yeah, I don't know if I'd want to do it on a regular basis. Maybe it's one thing when you can, you know, do it in your state. Like, I don't mind the AMC events so much because, you know, it's not, but I mean, I would have no interest in going to, in this case, Prince George's County, Maryland, to hang out for most of a week to
My
sit.
sister lives in Prince George's County.
Really?
I could have stayed by her.
Well, we can send you and you can visit her.
Well, next year it's in Denver, though.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, boo.
Vale?
Yeah,
Hell in January.
That's drivable.
right. I guess if is there anything else to come up today?
Move for adjournment.
Okay.
Some boarded.
Okay, moving second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
That building over there, is that level and square?
Mostly. See, your son is working on it, huh?
Yeah.
They had a nice pad to start with.